Welcome to KrassenCast episode number 23. Today we have a lot to talk about in regards to the whistleblower complaint against Donald Trump and his attacks on this whistleblower.
Yeah, we want to kind of debunk some of the GOP talking points. Over the course of the last week or so, we've been hearing talking points from the GOP, from Rudy Giuliani, from Donald Trump. They're all kind of trying to discredit this whistleblower. And each and every one of these arguments that they're using to discredit this whistleblower have been debunked. And it's just laughable almost. And you see people like the House Minority Leader, McCarthy. He's sitting there and he's claiming things that didn't actually happen. So we want to just debunk some of these things. There's three main points that we want to debunk, and we'll go through that in the next half hour.
And I know a lot of people think, oh, these guys are left-leaning, so they're just saying this stuff, but the right's saying the opposite. So who are we to believe? We encourage you, like always, to do your own research.
Yeah, just don't let Fox News or whatever news station you're watching think for you. Think for yourself and do your own research. You have Google. You can Google anything and find out the facts. And there's no reason for people to just believe any report they see. You do the fact checking and see it for yourself.
And that's really important. So I think the first I guess conspiracy theory you can say, but it's being passed around within the GOP and conservative publications as if it was fact, and that is that the IGIC form for reporting whistleblower complaints has changed, and that it changed in August. And this is partially true, but it's not true in the way that the GOP and those such as Rudy Giuliani and Kevin McCarthy and Jay Sekulow have been trying to make it out to be. So the main talking point of the GOP, and this includes the Federalists, who I believe are the ones who started this conspiracy theory, and Kevin McCarthy, is that the form in order to actually file a whistleblower report within an agency such as the CIA, the FBI, or any federal agency has changed as of August, which was the month that this whistleblower report against Trump was filed.
Conveniently, right?
Yeah, so it did change, but it changed, but the way in which it changed didn't affect anything. The GOP is saying that as of August, they began allowing secondhand knowledge to be the reason for filing a whistleblower complaint. And that's not true. Secondhand knowledge has always been allowed on whistleblower complaints. I mean, just think about it. Think if you heard something that was horrible, that was going on within an agency, should you not be allowed to report it to the ICIG just because you heard it from somebody else? That doesn't make sense.
Well, and that's the point. You file a whistleblower report with this information, and before it's released anywhere or given to Congress, the Inspector General, in this case, the intelligence community Inspector General,
Michael Atkinson, who Trump nominated.
So what Atkinson would do here is he takes this secondhand information and he investigates. He finds witnesses, he talks to witnesses, and then determines if it's credible, which he has done.
Okay, so let's get back to what the GOP has been saying. They're saying that before August, secondhand complaints were not allowed. It was only firsthand complaints. That's not true. The form changed, but the way the form changed was, as of August, there were two options for a whistleblower to check off when they're filing a complaint. Option A was, I have direct and personal knowledge of the account. And option B was, I heard about it from others. So option A is firsthand knowledge. Option B is secondhand knowledge. Before that, these two options weren't on there. But there were three options. And the first option was, I have direct personal knowledge. The second knowledge was that my knowledge comes from an outside source. And the third option was, my knowledge comes from another employee. So options 2 and 3 in that case were, I heard about it from outside sources. So you could always report secondhand knowledge, unlike what the GOP is saying. You can check these forms yourself. This other form was updated in May of 2018. And by the way, this information I'm getting is coming from the Daily Beast, who did awesome reporting on this. The journalist's name is Kevin Poulsen. I just want to make sure everybody gives him credit for this.
Yeah, so they're parroting these talking points, saying that the form changed, and that's what allowed this whistleblower to come forward. If they didn't change the form last minute, this guy wouldn't have come forward. But that is absolutely not the case, and you're going to hear this again and again over the next few days. And I want you to know that that is not factual. That is actually false and a lie.
Well, and Trump tweeted it this morning saying, who, quote unquote, who changed the longstanding whistleblower rule just before submittal of the whistleblower report, drain the swamp. It was changed, but it wouldn't have affected the report in any way. And I think it's really important for everybody to know this. And if you see your friends or colleagues posting that it was changed just so that Trump could be reported, that's false. And I think you should let them know and send them a link to the Daily Beast article.
Now, here's the thing, Ed. Now, what if this was actually true, right?
And what do you mean, what if it actually was true? It seems like it was.
No, what if their talking points are actually true and that this was changed just so it could be reported? That doesn't mean that wouldn't even mean that what he's saying is false, and it's already been confirmed that all this information is accurate. So even if that was an argument, which it is not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like say Trump murdered somebody on Fifth Avenue, and this whistleblower heard about it from someone else and reported it, and let's say that secondhand knowledge wasn't allowed. Does that make Trump's murder of somebody on Fifth Avenue any less severe?
Well, and let's add in that Rudy Giuliani comes out and says, yes, Trump shot somebody on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, and Trump releases transcripts of him saying, I shot somebody on Fifth Avenue.
Right.
You know, it's so sad that Trump has to go to these excuses and these attacks in order to try and discredit something that him and his own White House have admitted to already. And you know, it's really important, I think, that I want to touch on the Whistleblower Protection Act of 1989. I think I'll do that a little later. I think I'm going to let you cover some of the other conspiracy theories that the GOP has been passing around.
Yeah, one of the other myths that we want to bust here is the talking point that this whistleblower's report is not true. It's false. It has lies. It's not factual. But you got to realize that Trump already released a transcript. Giuliani already admitted connections which were discussed in the whistleblower report, and Trump himself and the White House have already admitted key points of this report. So the second falsehood I want to kind of talk about is this fake whistleblower, hashtag fake whistleblower that Trump keeps talking about. The problem is that Giuliani, Trump, and the White House has confirmed almost all of what the whistleblower complaint states. So let's go over it real fast. The whistleblower report showed that the president used his power to try and get Ukraine's president to investigate his opponent, Joe Biden. Now, a day before the report was released, the White House released a transcript. They call it a transcript. It's actually a memo of the conversation. And it shows that Trump tried to get Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden. So that part of it's accurate, right?
Exactly. Go on. I want to hear the rest of these.
Next, it said that the actual transcript of the call between Trump and President Zelensky was placed on a secret private computer, which was earmarked for highly classified intelligence and information. Now, this was also proven to be accurate. You know why? Because the White House came out and said that the actual transcript was placed on the secret server,
which happens to be a server with Saudi transcripts and Russian transcripts as well.
And the Democrats are trying to get this information as well. Hopefully they do. Now here's another key point from the whistleblower report that was confirmed by Trump's team. It said that Trump was working with both the State Department and with Rudy Giuliani in order to get this information about Biden from Ukraine. Now, Giuliani's gone on several TV programs over the course of the last 5 days and admitted that he was working with the State Department, particularly Kurt Volker, as well as others. He also said that Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, the head of the State Department, knew about this, and that this all actually did take place.
I think something else that's interesting is that there was Fox News reporting just yesterday morning, that Trump acted alone on this. So somebody's leaking to Fox News that he worked alone because somebody in the State Department or around him doesn't want to be associated with. Whether that's true or that Giuliani's account's true, it doesn't really matter, because either way, somebody's in trouble here, and it includes Trump.
Right, and on Friday night, shortly after all this started coming out, Kurt Volker, the special envoy to Ukraine, resigned. And so if none of this whistleblower report is accurate, why is he resigning from the State Department?
Well, I think we're going to find out a lot more. I believe is on October 4th when Volker testifies before Congress. I want to shift back slightly to what I was talking about previously about the secondhand and firsthand knowledge for a whistleblower complaint. What's really ironic here is that even though secondhand knowledge is permitted on a whistleblower complaint, the ICIG can't send that complaint to the DNI unless he validates those complaints and basically gets firsthand knowledge from another individual. So the fact that Trump's own ICIG, Atkinson, sent an urgent complaint to the DNI means that he found firsthand knowledge in his investigation of the allegations. So this whole thing about secondhand knowledge is moot because Trump's own nominated ICIG found firsthand knowledge. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been sent to the DNI.
Exactly. All these arguments are, if you actually examine these arguments that the GOP is throwing at us, they can quickly be debunked. And if, for instance, let's say that next time somebody like Kevin McCarthy goes on air and says the whistleblower is a fake whistleblower, and he says that the information within the whistleblower report cannot be trusted and it's fake, all the media has to do is ask them one question: what about the whistleblower report is inaccurate or fake?
And nobody's asking that, which I find very odd.
And if they did, you'd catch all these people off guard. They can't say that any of this is inaccurate because it's all been confirmed by the White House. What are they going to say? The whistleblower said that this information was transferred to a Secret Service? No, the White House said that. That the whistleblower said that Trump was working with Giuliani and the State Department? No, Giuliani came out and admitted that.
Well, there are arguments, the quid pro quo, that the whistleblower complaint says that there's a quid pro quo, and it's obvious just looking at it that there was there was a quid pro quo. It wasn't directly Trump saying, if you do this, I'll do that, but he asked for a favor. And I saw a Twitter user, T-Pain, actually make a tweet this morning, and he put out the Oxford Dictionary's definition of a quid pro quo, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's something along the lines of a favor in return for doing something. And Trump specifically asks for a favor. So it's like, it's there. The quid pro quo is there, and it's going to be easily able to be proven, I believe, once these witnesses start testifying. We're going to hear from Mike Pompeo. We're going to hear from Kurt Volker. We're going to hear from the ambassador who was fired. We're going to hear from a lot of witnesses, probably individuals within the White House. And what's going to be great is I think a lot of their testimony is going to conflict with each other. And that's when I think everything's going to come to a head, and we're going to see exactly what happened.
Well, and we need to point out that even if there was no quid pro quo, it doesn't matter. There's still crimes that were committed.
Exactly. The mere fact that he's asking a foreign nation to investigate his political rival in itself is an FEC violation.
Well, and I think that's a good segue to the third myth that we wanted to bust. And that myth is that no crime was committed, so how can he be impeached? First of all, you don't need to commit a crime to be impeached. But second of all, the Vice.com, HBO's Vice, they listed 7 different likely or possible crimes that were committed in this action that the whistleblower report reported on. And we can just start right off the bat. Campaign finance violations. That's probably one of the most clear crimes that could have been committed here, and that's in that Trump asked a foreign power for something of value, and that was dirt or an investigation into Joe Biden. And you're going to get people on the right and the GOP claiming that, well, a thing of value has to be monetary, or a thing of value can't be help. But there's no doubt that a foreign government providing you help in spreading false information, or even if it was accurate information on your opponent, is a thing of value.
Well, a chairperson for the FEC actually tweeted that. Did you see that the other day? Tweeted that this is a thing of value, basically debunking all the Republicans who are saying that this is not actually something of value, and it is. And we saw the same basic campaign finance violation back with Michael Cohen when Trump paid off Stormy Daniels and other women in order to hide allegations of his affairs.
Right, and Trump was implicated in that crime, but Cohen's doing the time for it right now. All right, so number two, another crime that could be found in this from this whistleblower report is bribery, and that's 18 USC 201, and basically it's defined by it's defined when a public official seeks anything of value, but he threatens them. He threatens somebody, or I guess you could say he influences another party. A threat would be more like extortion.
Yeah, I believe this is closer to extortion, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, I would say it's more closer to extortion, but bribery would be that the other party's sort of involved in it. Whereas extortion would be that the other party is threatened, whereas maybe Trump threatened to hold back $400 million in military aid that they desperately needed to fight off Russia as Russia encroaches on their borders. I would say this is extortion.
Yeah, it's extortion, but I think it falls into the same container, I guess.
Well, and before I say it is extortion, we still need more information on the conversations that took place where it's shown that Trump held back these funds for the sake of extorting them. But right now, it looks like that's why the funds were withheld.
I think Kurt Volker's testimony is going to help in this, as well as the ambassador who was fired. Because I think she may have been fired because she knew what was going on and she actually tried to stop it. I mean, that's what a lot of people are assuming. We'll find out. I believe she's testifying. I forget the woman's name, but she was fired. I believe she's testifying on October 2nd.
Right, and you have to point out that if these funds were withheld, yet you think of the timeline that this is all happening in. He holds the funds that Congress earmarked for Ukraine, for weapons for Ukraine to help fight off Russia's aggression. He withheld this without telling anybody why. Supposedly he did this.
Well, he told them why, but he kept changing the reason why as it evolved. The truth evolved,
and he did this on his own, supposedly. And he's not allowed to do this. Congress earmarked these funds for Ukraine. He can't just hold it back and not give it to them. And he did this right before he had this conversation with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, where he asked for a favor.
Yeah, so let's go on to the next crime that may have been committed here.
It could also be considered honest services fraud. And this would be performing an official act in exchange for personal gain. In this case, Trump may have defrauded his constituents of his honest services to make decisions that take actions that are in the best interest of himself rather than the public.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like that's one of the lower things on the rungs, and I doubt there's going to be an article of impeachment for this.
Right. Well, and like we said, you don't need a crime to impeach. Just the fact that he's having a foreign power investigate his political rival is...
Well, that's a crime.
I know, but even if that wasn't, that would be an impeachable offense.
It would be an abuse of power.
Abuse of the Constitution. Next, witness intimidation. And we've seen this a lot, even this morning, but we've seen it over the course of the last week. Trump on Twitter tweeting things to the whistleblower. He said that he's like a spy, and then he alludes to the fact that spies used to be executed in the past. So he's putting in the mind of this witness the possibility that he could be executed for speaking out against Trump's actions.
Well, the thing is, I want to touch on 2 points in regards to this. The witness intimidation isn't only directed at the whistleblower. He held that speech in front of the UN, and he was directing his words toward the firsthand knowledge people who gave this knowledge to the whistleblower. So he was intimidating these people so that they don't come forward with the firsthand knowledge. And secondly, I want to go back and I want to touch on the Whistleblower Protection Act of 1989. This act was put in place to protect whistleblowers. It wants to encourage whistleblowers to come forward in order to basically pull the corruption out of our government agencies. And in doing so, the law says that a federal agency violates the act if it takes or threatens to take retaliatory personal action against any employee or applicant because of disclosure by that employee or applicant. So essentially, Trump, when he tweeted, I believe it was last night, he tweeted big consequences in regards to the actions of the whistleblower. That in itself is a threat to take action against him. He's threatening punishment and consequences against this whistleblower for coming out and blowing the whistle on himself. So, I mean, I really hope that if there's impeachment, which it seems like there's going to be, I hope there's an article in there for violating the Whistleblower Protection Act of 1989, because there should be.
And this morning and yesterday, he's been tweeting several times, saying things like this whistle. I need to face my accuser. I need to know who this person is. We need to know who this whistleblower is. And that's counter to everything the Whistleblower Protection Act says. The whistleblower is supposed to remain anonymous so that they don't have to face these people and the people that Trump is encouraging to perhaps act out. He's calling them a fake whistleblower. He's basically trying to get his base riled up to try and reveal who this person is. If enough journalists are looking into who it is, and enough people are willing to blow this person's cover, Trump's actions could influence those people to do just that.
Well, one sick thing I saw over the weekend was that Jacob Wall, our good friend Jacob Wall, good friend in quotes, I'm being sarcastic here, Jacob Wall and Jack Berkman, the radio host / lobbyist, offered a $50,000 reward for anyone who can name the whistleblower. These are the same people that made up fake rape allegations against Robert Mueller last November, about a year ago. Yeah, and the list goes on of the different crimes they appear to have committed. I don't want to say they committed because they haven't been actually convicted of any crimes yet.
Yeah, anybody that supports that, whether you're Republican or Democrat, whatever your beliefs are, I mean, this person came forward with information that was investigated by Trump's appointed inspector general and found to be credible and urgent. This information was presented to a Trump person who found it credible and urgent, and they did it in confidence that they were not going to be revealed.
Without the ability of whistleblowers to come forward, we become an authoritarian regime. Just like Russia, we fall into the same category as Venezuela, Iraq under Hussein. We fall into this category because people aren't allowed to come out and blow the whistle on corruption and crimes within the government. And once that ends, if Trump's not held accountable here, whistleblowers are going to be afraid to come forward, and they're going to be more reluctant to come forward in the future.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And I think we have to point out that all of these theories that the GOP is parroting out there, they're easily debunked. If you use your brain and you actually research this stuff, you find that these talking points don't match the facts. And I think that's what makes – I think that the thing that makes this different than the Mueller report is that they don't have 2 years to come up with a random conspiracy theory and fake witnesses to back up this conspiracy theory. They're kind of stuck, and none of their talking points are making sense. And the American public, including Republicans, are realizing that these things don't make sense.
Well, there's no good defense for what Trump has done, and it's evolving. You're seeing at first it's attacks of a whistleblower, but now the White House and Trump have admitted to these alleged crimes, and so now they have to defend the crimes themselves. But you can't defend the crimes themselves because they're so obvious. They're so out there that everybody can see them, and everybody can see. Even if you don't want to say it's a crime, you can see it's a clear abuse of power.
Right. If you just took out the whistleblower right now and pretended none of that happened, the report didn't come out, that nothing happened, but you have this transcript, the White House's own claims, Giuliani's own claims, there's a clear case that he did this stuff. So attacking the whistleblower is pointless.
It's not a clear case. There's a clear – they admitted guilt.
Yeah.
They admitted guilt. They just don't think what they did was wrong. Which is even more wrong.
And it's amazing that Trump doesn't realize that attacking the whistleblower is not doing one thing to help his defense.
Well, it's only helping his defense in the case of people who haven't actually looked into or seen what he actually did, and they're just saying, oh, there's a whistleblower blowing a whistle on Trump.
Well, and I mean, so many of these people haven't read the whistleblower report, haven't read the transcript. I mean, after the whistleblower report was released, I think, what was it, on Thursday last week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday? The day after, there was a list of Republican senators and congressmen and women who who said that they hadn't even read the report.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How
It's like
can you not
you
read
think
the
as a
report?
senator, your first thing would be to read a report about the president of the United States. It's not like this was a Mueller report where it was hundreds of pages long. I think it was like 2 or 3 pages long.
Right, and that's the thing. That's what's gonna help Democrats in getting the truth out there, is that people are actually going to read this 7-page report or whatever it was. They're not going to read a 400-page Mueller report.
Well, and it goes so much more deep than the transcript. You know, like you could say, oh, the transcript, there's no quid pro quo. But I think what's going to happen is as Congress talks to these witnesses, you're going to see that the pieces all fit together. And it's so much deeper than the transcript. And that's what I think what the whistleblower was trying to say. And I think there's going to be witnesses. If the whistleblower spoke to these people are going to be brought in to testify.
Right, and everything's happening so fast. I mean, next week or this week even, the testimonies start, and there's going to be like 7 different testimonies over the course of the next week or so. It's happening so fast. Whereas with the Russia stuff, it was over a course of like 2 years, and people forget. Like there's so many other things that happen. Like Michael Cohen goes down for this, and Paul Manafort goes down for this. You don't link it all. You can't link it all together unless you're paying attention. Like,
well, and I think as more witnesses come, there's going to be more witnesses to call, because people are going to be brought into the I don't want to call it a conspiracy, but brought into the knowledge banks, into the realm of knowledge. Like if, say, Kurt Volker testifies that these people knew about it, then those people are going to be brought in to testify. You know, that now we're hearing Fox News reported that attorney DeGenova was involved with Rudy Giuliani and DeGenova's wife in this whole conspiracy with Ukraine. So it's very possible that they're going to be brought in. And then who are they going to out? Who are they going to point fingers at? Who are they going to say didn't know what was going on or did know what was going on?
And I think you could get kind of a situation where everybody's rushing to tell the truth rather than rushing to lie, because they know that there's so many witnesses here that if they're the last one to tell the truth, they're going to be the one that everything falls on.
Yeah, typically the first person who comes forward and tells the truth and tells the whole story and even admits that he did something wrong is the one that's going to be punished less severely. But if you're going to lie about it and you're going to wait until the end and wait until you're outed by another individual, you're going to face the steepest penalties. And I think there's a real possibility, like in Watergate, there's going to be people going to jail for this.
No, absolutely, there's going to be people going to jail, in my opinion. But I think that's probably a good area to leave off this episode.
I want to remind everybody, KrassenCast, which is this podcast, we're available on Facebook through live video. We're recording these videos live and streaming them live on Facebook. So follow us on Facebook. Just search for the Krassenstein Brothers. You can also listen to us on iTunes and on YouTube. So search for us on iTunes at KrassenCast, Facebook, Krassenstein Brothers. And I think that's, like Brian said, a good place to leave off. So talk to you later.